Celebrate good times. Come on. That's right. I'm just testing out Corey's theory that if I sing any popular song, we'll get shut down by YouTube for copyright reasons. That's right, Kenny Clark. Let's celebrate. No analysis, just vibes. Kenny Clark signs a 3-year contract extension with the Green Bay Packers. I mean, I'm not going to say that puts him into the end of his career, but that's 3 more seasons of Kenny Clark. That's awesome. The Packers doing right by the last gentleman on the roster drafted by one Ted Thompson in the fold at the age of 28. So, they'll be early 30s, hopefully, by the time they have to make their next decision on Kenny. But hey, Kenny Clark's still balling out at the age of 28. It's interesting to look at the parameters of the deal aren't available yet, but you look at the reporting around it, which is always going to be favorable to the agent slash player. I would encourage everyone just to hold off on trying to analyze the money because, they'll be reporting what the guarantees are, but even that isn't always 100% ironclad. Sometimes it's for injury as opposed to other things, roster game day bonuses, things like that. All that matters is that Kenny Clark is going to continue to ball out for the green and gold. And the other exciting aspect of this is that there's no way, in my estimation, there is absolutely no way that the Packers make this deal and sign Kenny to this extension without knowing what the parameters are on Jordan Love's deal, which would suggest there's a chance we hear some news on Jordan Love's contract tonight. Although, look, if that happens, great. If not, it's going to be fascinating to see whether he's out at practice tomorrow morning. But Kenny Clark in the fold. And I think there's zero doubt when you look at Kenny's career as a member of the Packers, one of the more unheralded inside defensive, interior defensive linemen in the league. As far as I get that, you look at the Aaron Donalds of the world, or some of the gentlemen who were paid throughout this offseason at the defensive tackle position. Uh, you would be hard pressed to find a guy as selfless as Kenny Clark doing what he's been asked to do, especially the last 3 years under Joe Barry, just quietly day in and day out, doing his job and doing it at an extremely high level. Just so happy for Kenny, happy for Packers fans, happy for the Packers, and extremely excited to see Kenny in this new defensive scheme where he will be asked to just all that trying to hold things up and trying to two gap and trying to read and react, all that. He's just going to be asked to create havoc, get upfield, stop the run on your way to the quarterback. Finally, let Kenny loose, give him some one-on-ones and let him go to town. The Packers clearly agree with the idea of Kenny still being, plenty spry, plenty able to get up through those gaps and destroy offensive centers, guards, what have you, anybody along the interior. I'm so excited. You guys know, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, I'm an insane Kenny Clark fan. Always rooting for Kenny and just thrilled that he's in the fold. Hello to everybody in the comments. That's right. There's going to be zero analysis here. This is just vibes. So don't come in here with your naysaying, because that's not what this life is about, especially not right now. Corey, thank you for being a Care the G Club member. Okay, Kenny is locked up for a while. Now we can get Jordan contract done, please. What is the holdup, Nags? Random Packer, Allen Rossum. I love that you had to throw in an Allen Rossum nod. That's great. Holdup, look, it's not a holdup. It's a negotiation, and it's an incredibly complicated negotiation. There are so many levels and intricacies to any NFL contract, but especially a high-level quarterback contract. There's no holdup. It's just the amount of time it's taking. A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. And Russ Ball is a wizard. So when that contract is ready, it will arrive. Joey, what's up? Thanks for the super chat. Let's go. I echo that sentiment. That's pretty good. William James, thanks so much for being a Care of the G Club member. So if he got paid, according to Goody, Love's contract had to be done right. That's what I was talking about before, William. Although I would encourage you in the future to use commas. Yes, as I was saying at the start there, and to your point, as Gutekunst indicated to us here on Packer Transplants a couple months ago, they needed to know where Jordan's contract landed. That's what I was saying about the structure, right? There's no way they don't know the parameters of Jordan Love's deal and then go ahead with this Kenny extension. If one would follow the other. So that's why I suspect there's a chance maybe we hear news on Love tonight. Although, look, like I was just saying, there's a lot of intricacies, a lot of kind of levers to be pulled or to be placed inside a contract where I'm sure the idea was to hopefully get Love done by the time they take the practice field tomorrow morning. But if it's not done tomorrow, don't freak out, or overnight or whatever. I'm pretty sure they're very, very close, would be my suspicion. But we'll see. Joshua, when you going to Green Bay? Thursday. Kevin, thanks for checking out the stream on X, or Twitter, as the kids call it. Selfless and consistent. Yes, you are 100% spot on when categorizing one Kenny Clark. No doubt about it. Hafley scheme going to make Kenny the most dangerous interior D-line player in the league. Soder, I think that's, possible. No question about it. That's the goal, right? I mean, let Kenny eat. I mean, for years it was get Kenny help. Now it's just let him eat. Let him get upfield. Let him create havoc. Let's go. 28 million in cap space, and this gives the Packers more cap space. Well, Gary, that's the hope, right? I haven't seen, unless you've seen some reporting that I haven't seen any specifics as far as the cap hits for the 3 years. So that's the hope, though, right? When you sign an extension, whatever your cap hit was going to be, traditionally you would like it to be reduced, but that's not 100% always the case. So until we see some reporting on that, and we see the contract itself, little early. Nate, thanks for checking out the stream on X. Is Jayden Reed okay? Yes, he's okay. I actually just made a short about this for the YouTube channel. I'm told it's mostly a technicality why he's on the NFI. I know Bill Huber reported that he's been told Jayden Reed is totally fine, quote unquote. So the suspicion here on the outside looking in is that Jayden Reed will be on the practice field much sooner rather than later, probably in the next couple days. Sammy, no, they're not going to trade Jordan Love. Relax. Eric, yep, just so easy. Going to the shareholders meeting tomorrow. Maybe Murphy announces Love's there first. Hey, a girl can hope. Autumn, it's possible. I mean, I would tend to doubt it, but you never know. The Packers do love a theatrical announcement. I will say, though, I'm going to give Brian untold amounts of hell if they do some dramatic, like, Love contract reveal over the next 24 hours, because that's literally what I asked him on Packer Transplants, and he's like, no, it's not that. Yeah, okay. Mark Walker, thanks for becoming a Care the G Club member. Really appreciate you, man. Thanks for the support. Yeah, Chad, 3 years, $64 million with $29 million in 2024, Rappaport reported. Very true. I always say it. I'll say it again right here live in front of everybody. You just got to take that with a grain of salt. Each and every time any of these contract extensions get announced, not just Packers, anything across the league, it's always somewhat different when the actual numbers come out, when people get a look at the actual contract. These numbers and that info is put out there by agents to, frame it in the best possible light. We'll see. But hey, all I care about as a Packers fan is that Kenny's in the fold. That is the most important part. Who is the person you are going to watch during training camp, rookie and veteran? Joshua, I'll be watching all of them, everybody. But if you're talking about like who is like the person I'll be keeping an eye on or trying to track the most, Rookie and veteran. That's a good question. Veteran, probably Rasheed Walker. I'm fascinated to see how he picks up, if he picks up where he left off, because he was playing at such a high level. And the selection of Jordan Morgan, you would suspect, would push the guy to, A, keep that up, and B, maybe even elevate his game, right? There's no doubt that if you're a guy who's a former seventh round pick and then they go out and get a first rounder at your position, you're going to take that personally, right? And I'm fascinated to see if he comes in and is just locked down, which he basically was those last couple of games last year. So, yeah, vet, Rasheed Walker. Rookie, I mean, any of the safeties are going to be fascinating to watch. Edrin Cooper is the name that really kind of, I think, will be on the top of mind for most Packers fans as far as getting that weak side backer spot in this new 4-3 scheme locked down, and want to see if that athleticism is as real as advertised, right? Now, look, I'm obviously going to be watching all the safeties, Katana Oladapo in particular, because I really want him to make the squad because he's a draft crush and he's the first one the Packers have drafted in my entire time here at Cheesehead TV, and I need him to make the squad. So it's good to hear that he will most likely be out there sooner rather than later after being placed on the NFI. Aaron Harper, what's up? Kenny got paid. I love it. So do I. You and me both. We both love it. Gary is the vet to watch. He's got to be better. Oh, Gary, you're just such a naysayer. You just love being negative. I will say he's got to be more consistent. He's got to be more consistent when it comes to putting pressure on the quarterback, affecting the quarterback, but he's still a good player. I mean, yes, you'd like him to be great consistently. He has shown true stretches of greatness. He's just got to show that more consistently. He's got to be better. He's a really good football player. What else we got? Nags, you think they'll use a safety, linebacker, or tight end to kick off this season? In what regard, Rick? I'm confused by the question. Sorry, man. Nate says he's so excited to see our new defense. You and me both, brother. Like, I can't wait to find out what it looks like as far as not just like the switch to the 4-3, but especially on third down, right? Like the pressure packages, what they're doing as far as mixing things up, trying to confuse quarterbacks, how they utilize certain personnel on those downs, like obvious passing downs, especially. But yeah, absolutely. Morrow says, expect Love's breaking news tomorrow by breakfast. Entirely possible. No question about it. How are you feeling about a Love deal today or tomorrow? Eddie, that's a great question. I mean, who knows, right? I know Fowler from ESPN had put out earlier this morning that Packers and Love were, quote, not close on a deal, though reportedly talks have been positive. But again, I can't imagine this Kenny Clark extension gets done without at least parameters in place between Love and the Packers. So, I mean, it's interesting to see if Love takes the practice field tomorrow. I know Evan caught a shot of Jordan Love arriving today, so he's clearly in the building. But that doesn't mean he's going to take the field. TJ Watt was on the sideline in street clothes for a good chunk of the Steelers camp a couple years ago, waiting for his contract extension. It's possible that Jordan does a, hold in, as they call it now. I don't think that's going to happen. I suspect Jordan has probably taken out some kind of very expensive insurance policy, much like Devontae did his final year in Green Bay, to kind of guard against any freak injury. But I don't know. We'll see tomorrow morning. But as far as the question goes, like, do I expect a deal announced between Jordan and the Packers in the next 24 hours? I feel a lot better about that possibility after this Kenny news than I did earlier today. Let's put it that way. Talik, thanks for the super chat. What's good, y'all? I love my Pack fam. It's great to be back, and I love this extension. Great stuff from Goot. Love next. Absolutely. I will admit, I'm not going to say surprised, but I'm, I didn't think the Kenny Clark extension was a foregone conclusion the way I do with Jordan Love. Like, I know the Jordan thing is going to get done. I wasn't sure about Kenny Clark, but I'm very happy that it's done. I'm very happy he's in the fold. And I really hope we get the Jordan news in the next kind of 24 hours so we can put that to bed and just concentrate on football. No doubt about it. Dan says Kenny is a great player and a hell of a good dude. You told no lies right there. That's really good. Eddie asks, are there any other free agents you see us bringing in? No, I do not. Unless there's some kind of spate of injuries, especially if it's concentrated in one personnel group. Usually, sometimes like if there's an injury or a bunch of injuries that strike at a certain spot, then maybe the Packers bring someone in off the street. But I'd be very surprised if there was any kind of significant signing in that regard. Do they need to do some cap gymnastics, or are they pretty set for this coming season? They're in a good spot. They're one of the teams with kind of more cap room than most, and that was before the Kenny deal. So I would suspect, as someone was saying earlier, that this deal probably, you would think, reduces his cap number in 2024, which should give them a little bit more room in that regard. Now, maybe that gets swallowed up by Jordan Love, but we'll see. But yeah, at the moment, they're in a really good spot. They're very healthy. Dennis says the defense will be fast and more pressing, in your face, aggressive play. Only concern is consistency. Your thoughts, Snags? Yeah, I agree with that assessment. I do think it's going to look a lot different than we've been used to these last couple of years, where we all know the idea behind Joe Barry's defense was keep it all in front of you, rally and tackle. Now, did they do that on a consistent basis? No, but that was the idea, right? I do think this is going to look very different. And there will be times, especially with as much youth as they have on that side of the ball, there will be times where they're going to give up a play here or there. They're going to be busting coverage, etc. But I do think if you're a Packers fan, you're going to welcome the idea of, a collective on that defensive side being a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more in your face and trying to dictate things. And we've talked about it here a lot, just not kind of acquiescing to the offense each and every down and trying to like press the issue a little bit more. And yes, again, you're going to give up a player or two, but hopefully it looks much different. And hopefully there's a lot more consistency on that side of the ball. Curious what makes you think he'll play a different role in the Halfley system. Stoked if you're right. I mean, I don't think he's going to play a different position. He's still going to be a defensive tackle, right? He's still going to be along the interior. But the entire design of this defense is about those front four guys getting upfield and creating havoc. It's much less about controlling gaps, much less about read and react, and much more getting upfield off the snap of the ball and getting in the offensive backfield and creating havoc. Now, obviously, it's a lot more detailed than that, a lot more nuanced than that, but overarching, what is asked of those guys up front in this defensive scheme, this is the idea. Get upfield. Don't control at the line of scrimmage. Get in the offensive backfield. If you want to hear more, I highly encourage you. I've had 2 conversations with Cody Alexander of Match Quarters, who is a former defensive coach in college football. He's actually worked with a lot of people who have worked with Halfley, and he's worked in this scheme, and he went into great detail about it. So, yeah, Kenny's not playing a different role as far as like his position goes, but what is going to be asked of him in this defense will be quite different. No question. Oh boy, Brandy's here. What's up, Brandy? What's up, William? Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you. The numbers are so insane now. I remember when Favre broke the bank with one of the first $100 million contracts. Random Packer, Mark Brunell. The fact that you're mentioning Favre and Brunell tells me, William, that you're residing in a different world, sir. I mean, look at these contracts that these NBA rookies are signing. NFL players still don't even sniff other leagues when it comes to the money. I mean, it's nothing comparative to their professional athletic peers. I mean, I love it. I love these guys getting paid. And here's the other thing. You know why they get paid that money? Because Amazon, all the broadcast networks, they're paying what? 100 million to like billions of dollars for media rights. Where's that money supposed to go? To the players, the people who are watching. I'd much rather it go to those players than the execs in 345 Park or the owners. Like, I want the dudes on the field to get paid. 1,000%. No question. Does this signing maybe lean towards the idea they think Love won't get done anytime soon, or do you think it's close? Ryan, I said this earlier in the stream. There's no way this Kenny deal gets done without the parameters of the Love deal being in place. I think maybe not, quote, close on Love. I think they're probably working towards the end game when it comes to Jordan. But yeah, I can't imagine when it comes to the guarantees and the cap hit and all of that, as far as these next 3 years with Kenny's deal, there's no way that gets done without knowing some parameters of how they, are looking at Love falling. And they've clearly agreed with athletes first, Love's representation, as far as having that in place. Okay, now we're going to quibble over the, escalators or the roster bonuses and all of that. That's all going to get worked out. Injury guarantees, all of that is the stuff they're probably hammering out. But the again, the parameters I would suspect are in place. All right, everybody, I'm gonna have to get going. Can't thank you enough for hanging out, talking Packers, talking Kenny Clark, talking Jordan Love. Can't wait for camp to kick off tomorrow. We're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst, and then we'll hear from Matt LaFleur, and then the Packers will take to the practice field 10:30 Central Time. I'll be back with Packers Daily tomorrow afternoon, unless, of course, Jordan signs his extension in the next 24-hour window. I'll go live for that as well. In the meantime, please hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family, Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide.